Hello and welcome to the Easy Odds Premier League videocast. I'm here with the mad dog Ross Casey and we're going to try and go through every single match today. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it somehow. So we'll start from the beginning with Aston Villa versus Everton. Aston Villa obviously been poor all season, really poor team. Why isn't Remy Gard left? Why did they hire Remy Gard in the first place? Versus Everton, who have Lukaku.
Yeah, Everton do have Lukaku.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, Villa have had a pretty poor season. Can't see them surviving really now, which is weird as they started off the season with a big 3 points at Bournemouth. I thought for all my Villa fans out there that
I did as well.
That maybe you'd have another safe kind of season, but at least it's not been boring for Aston Villa. There's always something in the papers.
I bet they'll love that.
But yeah, Everton have actually won 2 of the last 3 games at Villa Park, so that's not a great start to the stats for this game. They've also had a nice rest on the weekend because they were supposed to play Liverpool in the Premier League, but of course they were playing in the Capital One Cup final, so they had the weekend off. Whereas Villa went away at Stoke, played pretty well actually in terms of only losing 2-1. Tough place to go and all that. Villa actually seem a little better away from home because the atmosphere at Villa Park is so bad for the Aston Villa players. It's not a good atmosphere to play a football in front of really. But also what doesn't help them is their inability to stop goals being conceded. Their defence just looks really, really poor.
Really
it's got an experience
to stop laying in goals.
Yeah, it's got an experienced spine to their team, but for whatever reason they just can't seem to get to
Journey Less
to grips with
class.
He's got a lovely car, hasn't he?
He's got an absolutely. That's what I thought after that.
So Everton have won 4 of the last 5 games and have lost just 2 away matches all season, so actually better away from home than they are at home, so that's a bit of a worry as well for Villa fans. And a price of 4 to 5 there isn't a bad price at all.
Not at all.
Either as a single bet with a fairly hefty stake, or if you could putting on an accumulator this weekend, then
perfect for an accumulator.
In the Aki,
that's one of the perfect prices. That's a banker, I'd say. That's 4 to 5 is a nice price straight into the accumulator.
Yeah,
nice. Right, next match up, we're going for Bournemouth versus Southampton. We're gonna have to go quickly, so I'm not even going to talk anything about it. What do you reckon?
So let's go to the south coast for this game, and actually think that Southampton are a really good price here at 17 to 10. Bournemouth have lost 4 of the last 5 home games at the Vitality, which is a huge surprise, as I thought that home form would be key for them this season in their battle against relegation. It's actually away from home that they're more impressive, Bournemouth. They picked up another point away from home on the weekend, away at Watford, which is a decent result. But for whatever reason, at home they just can't seem to get to grips with winning games. They've only won 3 at home in the league, I think, this season, which just isn't quite good enough.
It's awful.
Saints have lost their first game in 6 against Chelsea, and that was fairly unlucky late on against a decent Chelsea side at the moment. And I think that they might bounce back at Bournemouth at a best price of 17 to 10.
17 to 10 is an absolute monster price. That's an amazing price. Against Bournemouth, they're not like the best team, are they? 17 to 10 is incredible. Anyway,
price.
Next up, Leicester versus West Brom. Are Leicester going to win the league? It looks like they are going to win the league. I can't believe it.
That was
we took them 100 to 1, didn't we? Was it Christmas?
It was
they were
Christmas,
100 to 1 at Christmas, and now look at it. I think they're about 9 to 4, 5 to 2 kind of thing.
Yeah, crazy.
Did you back it?
I did. Yeah.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
What? How have I not heard about this? Anyway, Leicester versus West Brom.
I actually think that the match on the weekend was a bit of a strange one for West Brom in that they went 3-0 up at half time. I don't think I've ever seen West Brom under Tony Pulis play such attacking football.
I didn't know they were capable.
I think that's that is a true correlation with the fact that Berahino's staying for the rest of the season, and he seemed to be a bit more alive than he has been for the last 12 months because he's a very good player and he's key to them. But I think that they're going to go back against the wall 4-5-1 away from home against Leicester, and I can see this going under 2.5 goals at a best price of 8 to 11. Leicester looked cagey in their match against Norwich, and I think that they might look cagey yet again in this game up against a team that are hard to break down. Under 2.5 goals seems the banker here at 8 to 11.
Leicester's defence got way better as well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Kasper Schmeichel's getting me a couple of points on fantasy.
Absolutely.
At the moment, and Huth, big Huth. Okay, next up, Norwich, Chelsea. Chelsea obviously transformed team under Gus Hiddink. Norwich are kind of just bowling along a little bit, not like doing anything brilliant, but what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, you said not doing anything brilliant. Listen to this, Jake. They've actually lost 7 of the last 8 matches, Norwich. That's exactly why I'm going to say that they're going to get a draw or a win in this game. This is exactly the sort of game that Norwich can get a result from, where they're underdogs. It's kind of a throwaway game where if they get anything from the game, great. Whereas in the matches recently where they've been playing sides around them and dropping points, those are the killer games, like where they went to Villa and lost 2-0. That was a terrible score for them.
Absolutely awful.
But at home, I think that they'll play pretty frenetic stuff up against a Chelsea team who are going to be pretty tired. They've got a huge congestion in their fixture list, and I can see this match being one where they're going to rest a few players. Definitely. So I think backing them in the double chance market at 11-8 Norwich, which means that either Norwich need to draw or win this game for us to win. I bet isn't a bad shout at all.
Yeah.
I think that they can take advantage of the fact that Chelsea may rest a few players here, and hopefully they can scrape a draw or even a win.
Yeah, nice. That'd be perfect. A win. If it was a win, you'd be a bit annoyed, wouldn't you, that you didn't
a little bit,
win? But still, 11-8's nice. The accumulator's coming along nicely. You're probably, or at least £100 in profit from a pound at the moment. Next up, Sunderland versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace are famously much better away from home than they are at home. Sunderland are actually probably a lot better at home than they are away from home, exactly. But they've been pretty poor recently. What do you think is going to happen, Ross?
Yeah, Palace had a horror show in the first half against West Brom. 3-0 down at half time at West Brom is just not very good at all, is it? Taking off Adebayor was key because they came out in the second half, got 2 goals back, almost equalised in the last dying few minutes. And I think that on the back of that 45 minutes where they were actually really good and turned the screw against West Brom, I think that they can finally get back on track with a win here at a best price of 21-10, which I think is a huge price for a team to beat Sunderland. Yannick Bolasie was back last week, looked not quite right, but he's got 90 minutes under his belt now, and hopefully he can kick on. Of course, this was the fixture that they won heavily last season, and Bolasie scored a hat-trick in that game. So I'm hoping for more trickery and skillfulness from him, and at best price of 21-10, I think decent price for as you say, an away team really who like to play on the break.
Yeah. A bit of skill from Bolasie last season, absolute peach. Repeated a lot of times on YouTube by me. Next up, we've got Arsenal versus Swansea. Arsenal obviously lost 2-0 to Barcelona, but that was could have been that was pretty obviously going to happen. Then got unlucky against Man United. But what do you think's happening against Swansea today?
Yeah, Arsenal need to get back on track with a win here, and it's perfect that they've got a home tie against Swansea. You can only really see one outcome here for a Arsenal win at around 2-5 best price. So I'm steering clear of that though.
Yeah.
And I think best price here, Olivier Giroud, anytime scorer at 21-20.
Yeah.
He was rested against Man United, and I think that proved a little bit costly actually. I was quite surprised that he didn't start that game. And in my opinion, this is only in my opinion, Arsenal fans, I think that Giroud's a bit of a flat track bully.
Yeah.
In that he turns up in these sorts of matches, he'll score 2 or 3 goals in these sorts of games.
I agree.
So anytime goal scorer 21-20 for Giroud, who should be pumped up and ready to take on a team that he should be scoring goals against, looks a decent price.
I've forgotten about Swansea completely. Swansea and Norwich are the teams I don't ever think about ever in my life. When Swansea play Norwich, do they have to play them again this season?
I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure.
No one knows.
No
one knows. Not even the
Who
fans know. Not even the Premier League organisers know.
But you won't be tuning in.
I definitely won't be tuning in. I'll be tuning in for Giroud's hair. I look quite French today, don't I? I couldn't look much more French, to be honest, with these glasses and this top. I might as well have some onions and
I was about to say,
and a bike, a baguette.
A baguette,
yeah.
There you go.
Oh, bonjour.
And there we go.
That's French, right? Anyway, Stoke versus Newcastle. Not for the faint-hearted. Stoke at home, obviously pretty good, and they might use this season. But what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, Stoke really toiled a little bit up against Aston Villa. I wasn't that impressed with them at all. They actually struggled to win and also score goals at home. And whilst Newcastle have an absolutely terrible away record, I wouldn't say that backing them is a brilliant idea. But I think that actually backing them in the double chance market, just like backing Norwich, so to win or draw this game, 23-25 is a far better option than backing Stoke at around 6-4. I actually think that they have the weekend off, as a few teams have, and that can be key because you've had a whole rest, and the new players will have been given more time to gel on the training pitch, which is a good thing. Because they have signed some pretty good players in January, and hopefully for Newcastle fans that they can start to gel. And I think that they can just avoid losing at Stoke. They've only scraped past a pretty woeful Aston Villa team 2-1 on Saturday, and I think that 23-25 on them not losing this game looks a pretty decent price.
That's definitely decent. Bojan hasn't been the same player that he was at the start of the season.
He's suffered with injuries, hasn't he?
Arnautovic got a couple, didn't he?
Yeah,
The
he
other day,
got a
but he doesn't seem to do much in a game and then just come up with.
He just comes alive.
Yeah. Newcastle, they need to do something soon because they spent quite a lot of money.
Yeah, they did spend quite a lot of money.
Steve McLaren is not having a good time with his hair. Next up, we've got a London derby between West Ham and Tottenham. What's going to happen here?
I think that obviously Tottenham are the favourite of the month at the moment. Many people make them favourites to win the league.
Yeah.
But I actually think that they might come a mock here and actually lose to West Ham at a best price of 31-10.
Oh, okay.
I think 31-10 is a massive price on West Ham. They've lost just twice at Upton Park this season, and they're unbeaten in the last 13 games at home. So a 31-10 price is absolutely huge in my opinion.
Yeah, that'll bring up the accumulator.
A 1-0 win over a stubborn Sunderland side on the weekend may not have really caught the eye in terms of how they did it, but that's a really good scoreline because Big Sam obviously sets his team up to be hard to beat away from home. And to get the 1-0 win is pretty important and keeps them in there trying to get their 5th place. All the pressure is on Spurs here, actually, because obviously they're in line for their first Premier League trophy. I think this is just a really tough tie, and I think that West Ham have been really overpriced at 31-10.
Not West Brom.
Don't back West Brom in this game. That would be a terrible tip. But yeah, 31-10 I think is a really good price for a very decent West Ham team.
Yeah, very decent. Controversial, 31-10 though. Very nice, very nice. A repeat of the Capital One Cup final. Next up, Liverpool versus Man City. It seems to happen quite a lot where teams play in the cup and then they immediately play next weekend. But what's going to happen here, Ross?
Yeah, I watched the Capital One Cup final, as I'm sure many of you did, and I think Man City were actually fairly unlucky not to win the game in 90 minutes. They had quite a few opportunities. Sterling should have easily put that shot away. Aguero easily should have had a penalty and it wasn't given. And I think that they were the better team overall. And I think that they're a really good price here at 2-1. Of course, they need to win this game a lot more than Liverpool do. Liverpool's Premier League season anyhow was kind of over, isn't it? They've got absolutely no chance of top 4 now, in my opinion. And I think that after Liverpool have won just 4 of their last 14 games, they've got no right to be favourites to beat a Man City team. And Man City are best price of 2-1. They've just come off the back of beating this side over 120 minutes and penalties, granted. But at 2-1, I think that's just too big a price to ignore on a Man City team. That's definitely too big a price.
I think they're overreacting now to the Pellegrini thing. I think if he was known to be staying, they'd be shorter than 2-1.
Of course, Company's back now, and they look a little more assured at the back also.
Oh yeah, Company being back is absolutely crucial for them. Just for his leadership more than anything, and also obviously his defending is amazing. Next up, we've got Man United v Watford, which would seem like a mismatch of the highest order back a couple of years ago, but now they're pretty much in the same position in the Premier League. What's going to happen?
Well, in this Ashley Young derby, I think that it's going to be a battle of the defences. Of course, Man United, even though they've managed to let in 3 goals in the last 2 games at Old Trafford, previous to that, they'd only let in 7 in the whole season. Their defence has just been absolutely brilliant. And when you say Watford, you probably think of Igalo and Deeney, but whilst they've been good, far better have been the back 4 and Gomez in goal. I've had Gomez in my fantasy team the whole season, and he's winning me points left, right and centre. And I think that this will be quite a low-scoring game, especially in the first half. I think that Watford will make it hard for Man United, and I think half-time scoreline, correct score 0-0, 7-4 looks a pretty decent price. If you remember at the start of the season when people were wanting LBG out because he was dull, I think 13 of the last 15 or something Man United games at half-time at Old Trafford had been 0-0. So 7-4 here against a very decent Watford backline looks a really good price. So that's my 10 tips for the midweek action. And make sure that you download the app to get the best odds on all sporting events, including the likes of the Jump, which is obviously the biggest sporting event at the moment.
As long as everyone isn't injured by the time this gets out.
So thanks for watching, and all the best with your bets.
Au revoir.